Hello students, myself Kalpana Singh, and in the previous video, if you remember, we just discussed about the first chapter of class 9, that is cell. So in this video, today we'll study the second chapter of class 9, that is tissue, and today we will discuss the topic regarding this chapter is the plant tissue and animal tissue. So what is tissue actually? First, in the last video, we just discussed the cell. Cell is what? Cell is the basic unit of living organism, organisms. Now, tissue is what? Tissue is a group of similar cells that work together to perform a specific or typical function. So, this is the main definition or description of the tissue. Now, tissue are of two types because we have two large kingdoms, plant kingdom and animal kingdom, and both are live. Here we are talking about the living organism. So plant kingdom and animal kingdom both are made up of cells. Now cells when grouped together to make tissue, then yes, of course, in the plant kingdom tissue is there, the plant tissue, and in the animal kingdom animal tissues are there. Now question arises, are the tissues of the plant kingdom and animal kingdom are similar? The answer is no, they are totally different because they have a different nature. Like animals can move, they have their muscles, they have internal structure called hard structure called skeleton, but plant don't have such structure. So yes, their tissues are totally different. So first I'll discuss about the plant tissues. So plant tissue basically divided into two groups. First is meristematic tissue and another is permanent tissue. Two types of plant tissue, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Now, meristematic tissue, it includes the cell that keeps on dividing and dividing and dividing. Continuous division, they show the continuous division in the meristematic tissue section. Now, what about the permanent tissues? Actually, when the meristematic tissue divide and at one stage, when they are not showing the capability of division, they will convert into permanent tissues actually, and some of the permanent tissues are even dead tissues. That we will discuss gradually when we will move to that particular point. Now first of all, I describe the meristematic tissue. Now meristematic tissue are of three types, apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. So this is the diagram regarding the meristematic tissue. If it is a diagram of a plant, that shows the shoot part, the upper part above the ground, and lateral downward it is the shoot part that is underground in the soil. In the shoot part, this tip of the shoot and the tip of the root, right, tip of the shoot and the tip of the root bears the apical meristem. First of all, when we sown a seed, a little plantlet will come out. Everybody knows, right? Now then that little plantlet gradually increase in size. So first of all, growth moves towards the upward direction to attain a height of a plant. Once the plant attain the height, then the thickness among the width or the stem occurs. First the increase in height, that shows the primary growth. When increase in the girth is the diameter, increasing in the diameter of the stem, that is called the secondary growth. So first we will discuss the primary growth. Apical tissue that is present on the tip of the shoot and root that are responsible for the growth of the plant to attain a height. Now after that you see a kind of bands or patches below the apical meristem that are intercalary part, that is actually the nodal part. See, in the plant two sections are there. If it is a plant, twig of a plant or a branch, then we see this kind of arrangement, and on these joints new leaf or branches will come out. The portion at which new leaves or branches come out, that is called the shoot part, and the distance, nodal part, and between the two nodal part, the distance is called internodal part. Now, the intercalary meristem present at the nodal part, because leaf have to come, new leaf or new branches have to come from this nodal section. So this the development of such leaves or the branches or the twigs of the plant, it is all because of the activity of the intercalary meristem. Actually, intercalary meristem are left behind part of the apical meristem. Now below, some longitudinal tissues are there that are called lateral meristem, and they are responsible for increasing in the diameter of the plant. Now apical meristem and the intercalary meristem are showing the primary growth of the plant, whereas the lateral meristem, that is present in the longitudinal sections or longitudinal direction, they are responsible for the secondary growth of the plant, that is increase in the girth or increase in the diameter of the plant. Now this is all about the meristematic tissue. Three types of meristematic tissue: apical, intercalary and lateral. Now we'll come to the permanent tissue. Actually, permanent tissue comes from the meristematic tissue. After losing the capability of division, meristematic tissue convert into permanent tissue. Now permanent tissue divided into again two types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Now simple permanent tissues are again divided into three parts: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Now first we'll study about the parenchyma. Parenchyma are loosely arranged cells, and they are, the main function of the parenchyma is they help in storage of the food. So parenchyma again divided into two parts. One is chlorenchyma and another is called arenchyma. Chlorenchyma, the parenchyma in which chlorophyll is present. If chlorophyll is present, then what happened to that plant? Yes, they become autotroph. They can make their own food because chlorophyll is present, right? So they help in the photosynthesis. Another point or another section of the parenchyma is arenchyma. It is regarding the aquatic plant. Aquatic plant means the plant that lives under the water or in the surroundings near the water. So aquatic plant shows the arenchyma. What is the speciality or specificity of the arenchyma? They have the very large spaces between the parenchymatous cells. Now what is the function of the presence of these kind of large spaces? They help the plant to float. They help the leaves of that plant to float on the water surface. That means arenchyma is responsible for maintaining the buoyancy of the plant. So I hope it has been clear to you what is permanent tissue. The first section of the permanent tissue is the simple permanent tissue. Now simple permanent tissue divided into three parts: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. So we have discussed the parenchyma here. Again, it consists of two types of the parenchymatous cells: chlorenchyma and arenchyma. Chlorenchyma, as chlorophyll is present, helps in the photosynthesis, and arenchyma, because of the presence of the large spaces, it helps the aquatic plant to float on the water. Now comes to the second part of the simple permanent tissue, that is called collenchyma. Here, because parenchymatous tissues are made of loosely packed cells. Loosely packed cells means what? They have a large number of intercellular spaces. Now, if you are talking about collenchyma, they have a very few intercellular spaces, almost tightly packed, and at the edges they have a deposition, and because of this they provide the hardness to the plant. That means their function is to provide structural support to the plant. Now next is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma, again very important. As you see, there is a huge or very thick layer of the cells around the center nucleus. This sclerenchyma is very hard, and this actually provides the hardness and strength to the plant. And the best example of the sclerenchyma is the husk of coconut. So, question has been asked from these topics about give an example of the sclerenchymatous tissues. What are the specific features of the parenchyma and collenchyma or describe simple permanent tissue. So a lot of questions has been made from all these topics. I hope it's clear to you. Now we'll move towards the second section, that is the complex permanent tissue. Now regarding the complex permanent tissue, they are divided into two parts, xylem and phloem. Simple permanent tissue, why they are called simple? Because they are made up of similar kind of cells. That is why their appearance is simple. Also ever the parenchyma, collenchyma or the sclerenchyma, what type of the cell, whatever it is all made up of similar types of cells, group of similar types of cells. So their functions is almost simple. This is all about the simple permanent tissue. Now about the complex tissue, as the name expresses, they are bit complex. Why they are complex? Because they are the group of different types of the cells. For example, if one cell is of the oval shape, then another may be hexagonal type, another may be tubular type. So complex permanent tissues, they are made up of different types of the cells. Now complex permanent tissue divided into two types, xylem and phloem. Xylem is responsible for transportation of water and minerals in the plant. Plant, as we know, roots are there, and the roots are responsible for absorption of the water and mineral, but they are only responsible for the absorption. Now how the water and mineral travels to the last end of the plant, I mean the last leaf, it is all because of the xylem. So xylem tissues are responsible for the transportation of water and mineral, and they are unidirectional. That means from the root to the tip of the plant. So their movement is always upward. That is in one direction, unidirectional. And they are again of four types: xylem tracheate, xylem vessels, xylem parenchyma, xylem fiber. Except xylem fiber, all the three types of the xylem are live cell, living cells, whereas the xylem fiber is a dead cell. Now we'll come to the phloem. Phloem is again perform a very important function. They are responsible for the transportation of the food. Now where is the food formed? By the process of photosynthesis, food is formed in the leaves in the form of glucose. Now that food, it has to be transported to each and every part of the plant. So it is not in one direction, it may be in more than one direction, maybe upward, maybe downward, maybe towards the left, maybe towards the right. So it has multi-directional, first point. And the transportation of food, it has a one technical term, and that is called translocation. So translocation, instead of saying transportation of food, we just say one term, that is called translocation. So phloem's work, phloem is responsible for the translocation of the food. Now again, phloem is of four types: sieve tube, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fiber. Sieve tube are like a stainer. Sieve tubes are the tubes that carry the food, and after a particular interval of time, they have a strainer kind of, the formation of the tube that helps in the staining the food that has formed in the leaves. What is the use of these sieve tubes? It helps in the uniform flow of the food from the leaves to the tip of the root. So it is very helpful because it is hollow, thoroughly hollow from inside, so they need some support. So companion cells are just with the sieve tube to accompany them or to provide support to such hollow tubes of the sieve tubes. So companion cells helps in the sieve tube to provide support. Now next is phloem parenchyma. As we have mentioned earlier, parenchymatous cells are responsible for the food storage. So whether it is xylem parenchyma or whether it is phloem parenchyma, they are responsible for the storage of food. And the last, phloem fiber, it again a dead cell, whereas the rest of the above three cells, types of the phloem cells are living cells. So phloem fibers are responsible for binding the cells. So this is all about the plant tissue.